Listen, after that rough Hungarian weekend, things at the Scuderia have suddenly become a lot more interesting. I know you saw the headlines, rumors about orders and whispers that a 7-time world champion had tried to take control. But here's the core of it. He didn't issue orders, he wrote a detailed report. He took his experience, frustration, and ideas and put them on paper, sending them straight to Ferrari's Maranello headquarters. This was not about bossing people around, it was about trying to help. Imagine being that close to the top and feeling that small changes could unlock a lot more performance. That's the tone of what he sent. From the paddock gossip to the brief interview with Motorsport Week, the message has been consistent. I haven't given orders to the team, he said. I just shared ideas like, what if we try this? Have you approached it that way before? That line matters because F1 thrives on perception as much as performance. When a driver of his stature speaks up publicly, even cautiously, it changes the narrative. Fans start to ask whether the team listens, whether internal tension is building, and whether this is the spark that finally forces a meaningful change. Right now, Ferrari sits under pressure, with Mercedes reportedly nipping at their heels in the standings, so any suggestion that a leading driver is pushing for technical or strategic shifts catches immediate attention. But think about the alternatives. Is this leadership or is it a symptom of deeper managerial problems? It's a fine line. On one hand, a driver who cares enough to write down solutions is showing responsibility and a willingness to collaborate. On the other hand, if ideas leak or are perceived as directives, it can undermine engineers or strategy chiefs who are meant to take the final call. I want to know where you stand. Does a top driver offering ideas help the team, or does it risk undermining engineers and strategy bosses? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments. Yes if you think his input is leadership, no if you think it creates chaos. And while you're there, do us a favor, subscribe to Fast News F1 and enable the notification bell. Your subscription really helps push us toward 1,000 subscribers and keeps you up to speed with exclusive updates. Stick around, in the next chapter we'll break down the likely contents of that document, how specific suggestions might translate into setup and strategy changes, and whether those changes can actually make a difference on Sundays. So what exactly could have been inside that document he sent to Maranello? Obviously, Ferrari keeps details like that under lock and key, but based on what drivers usually highlight, we can make some pretty solid guesses. First, setup adjustments, things like suspension stiffness, ride height, and aero balance. For example, a driver might notice that the car struggles to rotate properly through medium-speed corners, which could be costing a couple of tenths per lap. Writing that down in detail and suggesting a softer rear suspension setup is the type of actionable feedback that engineers can test in simulations or free practice. Second, strategy. Remember, Ferrari has had more than a few questionable calls in recent seasons, and an experienced driver knows when a two-stop or an undercut could make all the difference. Including ideas about alternative pit windows or more aggressive tire usage is exactly the kind of input a champion brings to the table. Third, communication. If you think back to Ferrari's recent races, there have been radio calls that sounded hesitant, even confused. A report that recommends clearer communication protocols or better decision-making structures during high-pressure moments could be game-changing. It's easy to forget, but Formula One isn't just about raw car performance, it's about teamwork under stress. A misjudged message at 200 miles per hour can destroy a race weekend. And finally, there's the cultural side. A veteran like him knows that motivation, collaboration, and trust inside the garage matter just as much as lap time. Including notes about morale, feedback loops, and how drivers and engineers can exchange ideas without friction might seem small, but it can lift the whole operation. Put together, this isn't a command document, it's more like a leadership memo, a way of showing, here's where we're strong, here's where we're weak, and here's what we can try. Now, let me ask, Use something directly. If you had to choose just one area for Ferrari to prioritize, which would it be? Comment below whether you'd pick setup, strategy, communication, or team culture. I'll even turn that into a quick poll so we can see where fans stand. And while you're writing your choice, don't forget, subscribe to Fast News F1 and hit the notification bell. Your support is crucial to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and it guarantees you won't miss the latest inside stories. Coming up next, we'll take a closer look at how the paddock is reacting, from Ferrari management to rival teams, and why this single document could shift the balance of power in the championship fight. Now here's where things get really fascinating. How did the paddock react when word spread about this document inside Ferrari? The response is mixed. On one side, you've got team principal Fred Vasseur, who's known for being open to driver input and encouraging collaboration. That means he might welcome a structured set of ideas from a champion. It gives him material to take back to engineers and strategists. But on the other side, some within the team could see it differently. Engineers are proud people, and when an outside narrative starts to form that a driver is teaching the factory how to do its job, egos can get bruised. This is where perception becomes as important as the actual suggestions. Beyond Maranello, rival teams are watching closely. Mercedes, in particular, won't miss the chance to spot potential cracks in Ferrari's armor. If Hamilton feels the need to push this hard so early in his Ferrari career, rivals may interpret it as a sign that all is not smooth behind the scenes. That can impact psychological games on and off the track. The media, of course, has already jumped on it, framing it as either a leadership move or a hint of dysfunction, which creates pressure no matter how you spin it. And let's not forget history. This isn't the first time a top driver has tried to influence a team's direction. Think back to Schumacher in the early 2000s, or even Alonso's more turbulent Ferrari days. Sometimes that pressure turns into a winning culture. Other times it accelerates tension and splits. So which way is this going to go? Honestly, it depends on how Ferrari responds. If they embrace the suggestions and find even small improvements, the driver looks like a visionary leader. If they resist or appear divided, it just fuels the narrative that Ferrari can't escape its own internal politics. So let me throw this question to you directly. Should Ferrari act on his input right away, or take their time and stick to the process they already have in place? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because fan perspective is often very different from the way teams handle things internally. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe to Fast News F1. Your support is what helps us close in on 1,000 subscribers and keeps us bringing you the raw, unfiltered stories from inside the paddock. Coming up, we'll shift gears and talk about the bigger picture, how all this could impact Ferrari's season and the championship fight that's heating up with Mercedes right on their tail. Here's where the stakes get even higher: the championship. Ferrari sits second in the constructor standings, and while they have a solid points buffer, Mercedes is breathing down their necks. Every race matters, and even small improvements can make the difference between holding second place or letting a rival catch up. That's why the content of this document isn't just a list of suggestions, it's potentially a strategic roadmap. Imagine a scenario where a setup tweak or a revised pit strategy saves a few seconds per race. Multiply that by the remaining events on the calendar, and suddenly the points gap isn't as comfortable as it looks. But it's not just about short-term gains. There's a delicate balance between taking risks now and ensuring the car continues to develop reliably throughout the season. Implementing too many changes at once could backfire, while waiting too long risks falling behind in a championship fight that waits for no one. For Ferrari, it's a chess game. Do they follow the driver's suggestions aggressively, or do they pick and choose, testing ideas more cautiously? And don't forget, every decision has psychological impact. Seeing a 7-time champion actively propose solutions can boost morale, but only if the team believes they're being heard and that changes are feasible. Otherwise, it could add pressure and even create internal friction. So here's what I want to ask you. Should Ferrari go all in and implement bold changes immediately, or stay methodical and cautious? Vote yes if you think they should take a bold approach, or no if you think slow and steady is the better path. And as always, make sure you're subscribed to Fast News F1 and have the notification bell enabled. Your subscription directly helps us move toward our 1,000 subscriber goal and keeps you updated with every twist and turn in this intense F1 season. Up next, we'll wrap everything together with the final take on whether this move represents true leadership from the driver or a warning sign that Ferrari may be struggling with deeper issues. So after everything we've talked about, what's the final take? Is this proactive move by a 7-time world champion a sign of strong leadership, or does it reveal deeper cracks within Ferrari? Honestly, it could be both. On one hand, taking the time to write down detailed observations, share potential solutions, and encourage discussion shows responsibility, experience, and a genuine desire to improve results. That's the kind of leadership that can galvanize a team, especially in high-pressure environments like Formula 1. On the other hand, if the team doesn't embrace those suggestions or if communication breaks down, it could highlight underlying problems, from internal politics to resistance within the garage. Looking ahead, there are a few scenarios to consider. Scenario 1. Ferrari listens, implements some of the proposals, and sees measurable gains on track. The team lifts performance, morale improves, and the championship fight remains tight, putting pressure on Mercedes. Scenario 2. Ferrari is cautious, takes small steps, and while minor improvements appear, the gap to Mercedes remains a concern. It's steady but not transformative. Scenario 3. The suggestions are largely ignored or mismanaged. Tension builds between the driver and team, and the season could slip into frustration, even with a talented roster and car capable of winning. Now it's your turn. Which scenario do you think will play out? Vote in the comments. Scenario 1, Scenario 2, or Scenario 3. And while you're sharing your thoughts, don't forget to subscribe to Fast News F1 and hit that notification bell. Every subscription brings us closer to our 1,000 subscriber goal and ensures you don't miss exclusive insights straight from the paddock. This story isn't over. The Hungarian GP may be behind us, but the season is far from finished, and we'll be keeping a close eye on whether Ferrari acts on these suggestions or if the whispers in the paddock turn into headlines that define the rest of the championship. So stick around, stay engaged, and let's see together how this saga unfolds, because in Formula 1, every move counts, both on and off the track.